Today I'm talking to John Harwood, production coordinator on shows like Pointless and most recently The Singles Table. And without further ado, let's get on with it. So, how did you begin your career in the industry?
So I studied theatre. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. And I was going to make the move into TV, and I'd also done a few bits of runner work. So I applied for the BBC's internship, but then just as I applied for that, COVID hit. So all that got cancelled. So then I applied for everything I could and ended up doing a job in COVID and was a COVID coordinator. I did that for about 9 months in a scripted show. I was lucky enough to get a project job. Then passed my CV on to a production exec at Banner J, where I now work. Pretty much, well, I've been full-time for about nearly 2 years. It's kind of a bit convoluted, but kind of how I ended up there.
Can I ask if there's anything specific that drew you to the industry?
I think it was just always from a young age I was interested in the arts. You know, I wasn't very aware, like probably a lot of people are not aware kind of the TV industry and what you can do with it. You know, I was lucky, I do have an uncle who works as a TV director. So I knew kind of it, but I didn't know about the production side of it. It wasn't until I started doing some of it that I was like, oh, you can do those jobs. And I was like, I don't really want to do the editorial, I want to do that. So I think that's kind of, it's more kind of like that sort of generally seeing it and knowing that roughly where I want to go and then actually getting into it that way.
So what are your responsibilities in your job sort of day to day?
So that really varies. It can be defined by however long a piece of string can be. You know, it also depends on the show, because each show can, the role, that's the great thing about the job, is that even though we do the same job title, even in every show, the role will be different and the responsibilities will be different because each show requires different things. So kind of working on Pointless, I've only got 2 weeks left now, I think. And that, you know, I look after the studio, so I kind of like liaise with all the departments, making sure I've got their rotors, creating the access list, sorting out parking. But I also kind of look after accommodation and travel for our. I look after all the celeb travel for the celebrity shows, and then also the talent travel for our presenters. So you know, it depends where they're coming from. So there might be some overnights, hotels, that sort of thing, like looking at what the best route is. There's like basically I'm planning a holiday every single day. It's quite fun.
I like that. That's a good way to put it. So what is your typical working week like, if you sort of have one?
I don't really have a typical working week, to be honest. It really varies on the show. So when we're in like post and pre-production, it's kind of a bit of a 9 to 5-ish kind of job, you know, and maybe, and you know, this new modern world, a bit of working from home, but also working in the office. When you're in production, you can be doing kind of 10, 12-hour days, 6 days a week, 7 days a week sometimes. But kind of, yeah, it goes back to kind of the last question of it, you know, it varies on the production.
Do you have a favourite thing about your job?
No, I think it's kind of like seeing the end product, you know, kind of like you put all this hard work and graft into it, and then you finally see the product, and especially when you like look on the social media and you like see people enjoying it, but also, you know, the love of Gogglebox, actually seeing the show and reacting to it. I think that's probably the best part, is that side of it.
What would you say is the biggest challenge in your job?
People, I think, is probably the biggest challenge. You know, a lot of people don't necessarily know what we do, and a lot of the time our work goes under-recognised, and it's not until you know, something goes wrong, people then come for us.
What skills are required in your day-to-day job?
I think a lot of our job is soft skills, and it's just being able to kind of problem solve using your own initiative, talking to people. I think, you know, the hard skills of like, you know, how does a camera work, and how does the process of post-production work, and wrangling and all that terminology and stuff, I think you can really learn over time, and you don't necessarily need those. Those are not the key skills. I think the key skills are really those soft skills of people management, and I think for me, initiative and problem solving are probably the 2 biggest ones. at the end of the day, there's so many moving parts that you need to be able to like identify what you need to do, and then also if there's a problem solving it.
Is there anything that you think has personally helped you get to where you've got to?
For me, probably my biggest thing is kind of problem solving and thinking outside the box. You know, being dyslexic, I'm very good at kind of thinking of problem solving outside of the box and thinking about coming at things in a different way. I think that's probably something that's really helped my job, is that, you know, being that really on it, proactive and problem solver. I think that's really helped me in my job.
Do you have a standout memory or achievement?
It's probably actually my first COVID job, my first like proper TV job as a COVID coordinator. You know, it was 9 months and it was really hard. You know, it was a completely new environment for everyone. And we got to the end of the 9 months of filming, and us as a team managed to keep it all at bay for 9 months and not stop filming.
What have you found the culture like in the industry?
It's a really difficult one, that, because kind of there's like lots of there's definitely two different cultures. There's a kind of proactive moving forward culture of seeing that all these problems in the past of kind of, you know, working conditions, times, pay, you know, misogyny and men and the man's club and all that. There's like all of that, and that's still there. But then you have the complete opposite side, where you have people who have been through that traumatic side and gone, no, we're not having that moving forward. You know, I'm very lucky. I work in a company where it's run by a very strong female team, which I love, and they are so proactive and wanting it to move forward.
Has the industry changed since you started in your career, and if so, how?
The protocols and the things we do now are huge. You know, for Pointless alone, we have like a 20-page document just on looking after people and the contributors. So, you know, it's definitely, it's changing, it's getting there. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. You know, ITV have recently employed somebody whose sole job is to look after the compliance of duty of care for contributors. You know, so it's getting there. It's really getting there, but it's taking time.
What do you think's been your most significant factor to your success?
My CV ending up in the right place at the right time, and then just being me. In this industry, you can really be seen if you're faking it. So just be yourself. If you don't know something, just admit it, or just ask. You know, and no one's going to judge you for that.
Do you have any other tips for someone who is aspiring to work in production? You've kind of answered it already, but
it's creating yourself a list of people that you know, or companies and stuff like that, of like places just to drop your CV, and just randomly send your CV off to people. And then, but also, if they reply saying I haven't got any jobs at the moment, in like 3-4 months' time, send your updated CV. I think that's more important, that if you're sending your CV regularly to people then will go like, I'm like, oh, I've seen that CV before. Oh, I've heard that person before. You know, it's building up that network of people. I mean, that's the biggest thing to do. Well, it's lovely to talk to you again.
You too.
Hopefully it's worked this time.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it has.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching, and thank you so much to John for participating. I learned so much from him. Oh, you can go find me on Instagram, don't forget that, and make sure you stay tuned for Vlog 3. Thanks!